Hello everybody, this is PotterBrony, and welcome to another TOME short number 7. This is going to be, as well as another short video for today, will be released soon, both for today, all I have time for, not any of the TOME episodes, so hopefully you'll enjoy. Let's just get it started in 3, 2, 1, go.
This thing needs to be found and stopped, so that it never
this
hurts
guy
anyone
again,
else
huh?
again. Those were the words that echoed through my head all this time. This dangerous force that no human being could possibly understand. A virus that could transform code into pain. A power that overwhelmed an unsuspecting human mind and combined with it to create a digital beast. I knew exactly what it was capable of, and my goal was as clear as day. Track down
that
the
is
virus,
pretty bad.
it,
That
and
virus.
erase it. I gained the resources necessary to carry this goal out, thanks to Kizuna. We began secretly developing a vaccination program in hopes that it could cancel out the destructive virus. Hackers became the pawns of our plan, keeping us out of the limelight. And so, we began hiring contractors to carry out very specific tasks, all in the hopes of achieving what we had started referring to as the forbidden power.
Okay.
Our first choices were still ones that I regret. 2 hackers who promised to uncover the whereabouts of the special item for our exclusive use. They
Yeah.
thought our claims well enough, but had their own selfish agendas that clashed with their objective. In searching for it, they were dragging out the process for the sake of their own enjoyment. A joyride with permission granted to rip apart TOME at their leisure. It sickened me, but I stood back and dealt with it. It proved to be fruitless, when both hackers eventually jumped ship from the job as soon as the going got tough. Around that same time, we started hearing about the administrators
So this is a
creating new
recap
type of
thing
weapon
from
in the game,
their point of view.
programming that I thought could be integral to stopping the virus. These new weapons were built to absorb and store data, and release it by will of the user. Our next contractor was sent to retrieve the first publicly released copy of one of these weapons. To a freelance programmer the administrators hired to construct a new area in the woods of Lavendera. If we could obtain the item in question and find the location of the virus, we could safely store it inside and then eventually erase it. The biggest obstacle, of all things, turned out to be them. A group of players whose drive was the same as mine, to keep the peace of TOME intact. But they truly had no idea what they were getting themselves into. Then, one of my worst fears came true. Someone else discovered the virus before our hackers could find it. And like clockwork, the unfathomable force I had grown to dread ended up being the Resistance's greatest weapon. Alpha. This poor, naive young man who let himself be overcome by the raw power of the virus. He became the very center of this entire conflict. Our next 2 contractors were sent directly after him to confirm that he was indeed the one possessed by this dangerous power. In addition, we had come far enough along with the development of our antivirus program that it was time we tested it. The most direct method we could think of, and so we could keep the forbidden power in check, was to attach the vaccination program to someone close to the carrier. We chose our target, set the work-in-progress program in place, and then slowly began our tests. When the opportunity arose, and the carrier was most vulnerable, Kizuna carried out the next step, pushing the virus to its limit to bring out the worst of it. What emerged was far worse than we ever could have imagined. I managed to step in and handle it, thanks to the weapon I crafted with an early version of our antivirus code. Not enough to affect the virus, but at the very least, defend against it. Alpha eventually returned to normal.
Was a pretty effective
and
weapon.
I gave him a proclamation to meet me again at the Gemini tournament, in hopes that by then, I could settle things once and for all. Eventually, we were able to assure that our antivirus weapon did indeed work, to some degree, thanks to one of our hackers who had a personal connection to the carrier of the antivirus. The Forbidden Power's feral abomination reared its ugly head a second time, and the person closest to him just barely managed to keep him contained. Now that we knew it worked, the final step was to seize the virus and erase it at long last. If only it were that easy.
Yeah.
The tournament rolled around.
Turned out to be pretty complicated,
I
huh?
thought if I'd been able to enter with Alpha as my partner, things would have gone smoother. But maybe it was better that it turned out this way. Kizuna and I entered as a team ourselves, for my own self-indulgent reasons, as well as to keep a closer eye on our hired hands in case something went wrong, which, unfortunately, it did. The data-absorbing weapon we had failed in retrieving before was finally in hand, but when it was put to the test in order to rip the virus's very essence from the host it had grown so attached to, we learned a horrifying fact that we had all overlooked. The virus was growing stronger. Most likely through its extended period in the mind of a human being, feeding off the negative impact it had been causing. The forbidden power was swelling to a state beyond control. Our two hackers failed. Nothing could contain it. We held on by the skin of our teeth, thanks to the antivirus carrier. Alpha was returned to normal, but the virus was still very much a threat. Beyond any danger, the virus itself put the many players of TOME on a day-to-day basis. The worst part above all of that was that the people who had become entirely wrapped up in this horrible mess that I set out to prevent were people who I grew to love as dear friends. I created this character for an escape, a way to enjoy TOME for what it is again, and I never would have been able to do that without them. For all the emotional strain I put myself through,
I wonder if what would happen if should they ever find out.
In the world, laughing without a care and playing a stupid game. It was worth it. Maybe it was all just a narcissistic act of pity that Alpha.
So I'm pretty sure Game Craze knows more than he says.
Or that I admired all their compassion so much, like they were a family.
Or everything. I'm not really sure
Whatever
about that one yet.
It got me through the day and allowed me to hold on to some hope that things would be how they should have been from the beginning. I let things get out of hand, living a stupid double life in TOME. I screwed up, nearly lost the people I cared about, put them in danger. Even before the moment of truth came, I was about ready to give up. I felt utterly destroyed on the inside. I'm not sure if this is even what I wanted. I don't know anymore.
Now, how the hell did he do that, though?
So now,
controlling the two of them.
here I stand, uncertain as to whether or not I can declare this all a big failure. Alpha is free from the virus's curse.
I understand having
Flamebird still has the
multiple
weapon spark
avatars,
of
but
the antivirus within her for safekeeping. The others are all blissfully unaware of my secret. I still
no
have the
online
friends
game
and
I've ever
friends
played
attached
allowed you to play both of them at once.
The forbidden power itself is somewhere out there, waiting to be discovered by another unsuspecting soul that might start this horrible chain reaction of suffering all over again. No, we'll find a way to fix this. I'll make sure that no one will ever have to endure the pain that Alpha and I succumbed to. But, for the time being, well, maybe this is about as good as it's gonna get.
So that was an interesting recap of Season 1. That seems to be the only purpose that that particular short served. Alright, so, like I said, yeah, that was obviously just a recap, from the point of view, and from another point of view, obviously, but, yeah, it's just that, really the one issue that I have is controlling multiple avatars at the same time, unless he's got somebody else controlling one, playing as one. No rules of any kind of RPG I know of would allow that to happen. But then hacking and all that, I'm just not sure how he would control the both of them, especially since at one point they were fighting against each other. So, I'm just going to leave it at this. See what happens next time. I want to thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Until next time, take care.